Good afternoon, financial professionals. I'm Steve Walker, Vice President of Institutional Accounts here at E4 Insurance Services, welcoming you to the Brew, building relationships every week. Thanks for tuning in today. For those of you joining the Brew for the first time, welcome. We like to start the Brewcast by celebrating today's National Day, and we have three of them. We have National Patriot Day, National Hot Cross Buns Day, and National Make Your Bed Day, of which, again, obviously National Patriot Day, we remember what happened about 23 years ago, and I remember all those that were affected that day and later on. So our thoughts and prayers continue to go out. On today's Brew, we are continuing to celebrate Life Insurance Awareness Month. As many and everybody on here knows, what we do really does matter, and going to just talk through a few real life stories and really get some conversations going to hopefully continue to put a little fuel on the fire for all of the advisors that we work with and all of those that are listening in to really understand the importance of life insurance and what it is that we do every single day. We encourage you to use the chat box or raise your hand to ask questions. All attendees are entered into a drawing for a CE voucher and Starbucks gift card, and we'll announce the winner at the end. So we thank you for tuning in today, and as we get started here, titled the presentation today, Real Life Stories, and what we do matters. And again, I think as we go through this, just a quick bullet point of what we're going to cover today. Last week, Rod Crandall, he does a really great job of really telling stories. And one of the things Rod mentioned, as well as every time I've heard Rod speak, is words matter. And really the words that we choose as advisors really help our clients get into the right stage of mind. So we're going to talk a little bit about making sure we all know what we do and the words we use matter. Secondly, a little bit about how advisors are going to educate, clients are going to ultimately decide. And as you can see, we're going to talk a little bit about how GoFundMe is not life insurance, and a couple of real life stories, finishing up with some call to action. So if you think about what it is that you do, and whether you've been in the business for 40 years or 40 minutes, it really is truly important that we know what we do. On the right side, you'll see a great piece that our marketing team put together here at E4 Insurance Services that talk about the 4 pillars of financial security. And really, when we think about at the root cause or at the root of what we do is really think to yourself, do I sell insurance or do I provide solutions? Because again, there is truly a difference, because again, that mindset and the words that we use are going to make a big difference. So again, rather than talking about the products that we offer or even the solutions, one of the things, like I mentioned, this 4 pillars piece you can download right from our marketing page on e4.insurance. But at the core of what we do is we really accomplish 4 things. We help our advisors ultimately help their clients. Number 1, provide liquidity, protect incomes, protect investment portfolios, and lastly, you'll help provide reward and retention strategies for those high impact employees. And again, the solutions oftentimes will require some form of insurance. You look at providing liquidity, with business owners, buy sell funding, key person insurance, estate taxes, just making sure that liquidity is there in the event that something happens, whether that's needing to buy out a partner, protect a family. Again, think about the loss of a spouse, loss of a loved one. Having that liquidity, you can't bring a spouse back, but insurance provides that liquidity. And we protect incomes. Same thing can be if we pass away too soon, but what if we become too sick or hurt and can't work? Same thing, we're protecting those incomes. Protect retirement and investment portfolios with the annuity products and solutions that we offer. And really those retention and reward strategies for those high impact employees. Again, you can see the list over there on the document. Really, all of these at the core have insurance to them, because again, when you look at insurance, it's going to provide liquidity, tax efficiency, and predictability, and depending on the solution that we go with. But again, going back to words matter, and what is it that you do? If you're talking with family, friends, clients, and you talk to them about selling insurance or having them buy insurance, nobody likes what insurance is. They see it as a bill, but they love what insurance does. So remember, focus on the solutions, and again, feel free to utilize the 4 pillars of security that's on our website. So really, as we move forward and continue on in this journey, as advisors, no matter what your primary focus is, if life insurance and annuity products are your primary focus, or if they're not, if it's more of just what we do, and E4, we can really come alongside you and help you with that. Either way, advisors, we're here to educate, and ultimately our clients are going to make the decision. So throughout that process, as an advisor, it's not an easy profession, but it's a very rewarding profession. It kind of starts with, first and foremost, we've got to identify the client. Once we identify that client or that prospect, our job in educating them is helping those clients see the potential gaps. And again, whatever that need is, life insurance, disability, again, they're not going to see the need for insurance, but we have to show them what that problem is and those potential gaps. What if we lose a spouse too early? What if I become too sick or hurt and can't work? What if I'm worried about outliving the assets that I've accumulated in retirement? Again, we've got to show them those potential gaps. And then lastly, we've got to present effective solutions for them to consider, because again, using the appropriate words is going to make all the difference. People don't like to be sold to. They want to be educated. But again, we have to show them the problems before they'll even consider the solutions that we have to offer to them. And ultimately, when we have that, the clients are going to decide, and a few things are going to go through their mind. First and foremost, do the clients agree that there is a potential gap? If they don't see the problem of losing a spouse, if they don't see the problem of needing that liquidity, whether it's estate taxes or buy self-funding or whatever the case might be, the conversation's essentially dead in the water. So again, as we educate, we can't dive right into that solution before the clients understand there is a potential problem on the horizon. Next, once they realize, hey, there is a potential gap in my planning, there's a potential problem down the road, the client also has to understand that there's a chance it could happen to me. Going back to that words matter, and what we do really does matter. If anybody's listened to Brady Serold, I'm going to pick on him, who leads our disability insurance program here at E4 Insurance. Brady does a great job of really educating us here at E4, that hopefully we communicate that with all the advisors we work with, is don't mention the word disability. If we're having a conversation, I'm trying to get somebody to realize that there's a chance that something could happen. None of us are going to become disabled. Many times we're very, very stubborn. But if we talk about, hey, is there a chance that you could become too sick or hurt and can't work? And all of a sudden, those words that we're using, now it's a reality. Yeah, I suppose there is a chance that I could become too sick or hurt and can't work. So making sure that client, once they agree there's a potential gap, they understand that that potential negative event could happen to them. Next, we come across, how am I going to fund the solution? Because again, we'll pick life insurance, since it's Life Insurance Awareness Month. The solution is providing that liquidity. Husband and wife, making sure if something happens to that other spouse, they've got the liquidity to make sure that even though they lost a loved one, they can continue on, and financially they're going to be okay. Those higher net worth clients, if I know the kids are going to have an estate tax bill when the second of us pass along, and I don't want to worry about selling business, farmland, real estate, whatever that might be, I know I need life insurance to fund that liquidity. How am I going to pay for the insurance? So again, that's part of our job, is how do we redirect some of those assets? How do we reposition some of those assets? Maybe it truly is, hey, we need to fund it out of income and lifestyle. But again, if we can show how we can leverage some of those low yielding dollars, that's really our job. And then ultimately the client's going to decide, is the cost of the solution, so the cost of the insurance, for example, does it outweigh what the potential consequences are if I don't have it? And again, that's not our job to decide. We can certainly show them, but if we don't show them, there's a gap. If we don't help them realize that that problem could happen to them, we'll never get to that point. So make sure we're having those conversations, asking great questions. You know, a friend of mine put this in a great way, and really, GoFundMe is not life insurance. Too many Americans really, truly have no life insurance. And I ask, again, as advisors, we've got to ask them, what's their plan? GoFundMe, we're not, you know, we shouldn't be relying on others to help protect our family. That's our job as spouses, as parents, as business partners, business owners. We need to make sure that we have a plan, and if insurance is a viable solution, we can qualify for it. It's much more cost effective, and you're not relying on others to do that. Ultimately, you know, for life insurance, in the spirit again of Life Insurance Awareness Month, two main reasons why people buy life insurance. And for our advisors out there, really helps you identify some potential prospects to talk to. Either they love someone or they owe someone. You know, really bottom line, if they don't love someone, they don't have a family, spouse, kids to protect, or they don't owe money to somebody, you know, a bank, potential buyout and things along those lines, there's not that potential problem down the road. But thinking of your clients, if they love someone or owe someone, they should really be considering life insurance. People, again, there's statistics out there that over 50% of Americans don't have life insurance, or right around that 50% number. You know, a lot of them think, I have it through work. Well, are you going to retire before you die? Are you going to potentially leave that job? Do you want to leave your family's financial security on the head of the HR department to make sure that it's covered? Really, again, just asking those questions to make sure that they understand what they own. If you don't have a story, borrow some stories. I'm going to go through a few here in the next couple minutes of, you know, really helping those clients understand what are the potential consequences of not having the adequate amount of life insurance. And ultimately, the decision why some of our advisors, why people across America, why so many people are vastly underinsured, is those professionals out there, they're trying to avoid an awkward conversation. And really, you got to think of it in two ways. One way or the other, throughout your career, you're going to have awkward conversations. You got to have thick skin. You got to get used to being told no. But ultimately, you know, think about working with your clients. They might be friends, they might be families, but you know, whether they're by blood or somebody you really do truthfully care about, or just, you know, any clients, you're not going to be best friends with all of them. But think about, would I rather have an awkward conversation with one of my clients, one of my friends, one of my family members, and I feel it's awkward because I think they might tell me, no, I'm not going to buy that insurance? Fast forward, and what happens if you don't have that conversation? You don't have that awkward conversation, so we put that off, kick the can down the road, so to speak, and all of a sudden, one of our closest friends or somebody in our family, they pass away. And the spouse comes to us and, you know, hey, did they have any life insurance? No, I'm sorry, I didn't, you know, didn't think to give them that opportunity to have that discussion. That's a much more awkward conversation when you're sitting with somebody that's looking at you as that trusted advisor. So again, if you want to weigh that, having that awkward conversation, let somebody tell you no. It's a lot less awkward than if something happens and you know you've done your job to make sure that they are properly taken care of. So want to hop into here for the next few minutes, some real life stories, and just a couple of them here. Up at the top here, and this is something that, you know, is a phrase that we hear on a regular basis here around E4, is no one likes what insurance is, but they love what insurance does. So again, thinking through, as we're on the call today and anybody watching the recording in the future, you know, who are some clients that I should be thinking about? What are some opportunities? And this is a real life story of something that happened within the last few years. But client profile, again, 31-year-old female business owner. This is a live client. She makes about $60,000 a year. When she went through ultimately underwriting, she got qualified at super preferred health rating. So again, preferred, best, super preferred, just depends on the carrier. All very, very healthy, not a blemish on her record. This client was married, had the first child on the way. So as the advisor was having a conversation with this client, the problem, again, we identified the client. Now we got to find the potential problem for them to take action. So the question ultimately comes down to, what if something happens to me as a mom? I've got a kid on the way. For that matter, a spouse, a wife. What's going to happen if something happens to me? The other problem in this, specific example, the client actually told the advisor she's not going to tell her husband that she bought this life insurance because he wouldn't think it was worth the premium it cost to purchase it. Ultimately, she made the right decision. She purchased $600,000 of life insurance to know that, again, that solution, if something were to happen, her income's protected. There's going to be liquidity. Spouse and kids are going to be just fine. So again, that happened. She purchased the life insurance, put in $600,000 worth of protection. Fast forward less than a year. Her and her husband are celebrating the birth of a daughter. Just a phenomenal, very exciting time in their life. You fast forward another year, and unfortunately, she did have a cancer diagnosis, and it came on very, very strong. So this is within under 2 years of her taking making the decision to make sure that her family's properly protected with life insurance. And less than a year later, unfortunately, a wife was taken from her husband too soon. A newborn baby, mom was taken away far too soon. But ultimately, again, the solution that this advisor provided, the liquidity with the life insurance, helped make sure that, you can't bring back mom, you can't bring back a wife, but there's going to be the cash there to help bridge that gap, to help make sure that everything's at least as good as it possibly can be. And when you think about this, she paid for that insurance with dollars out of her checking account, but she bought it with her health. If she would have waited less than a year, do you think with that cancer diagnosis there's any chance she's going to get insurance? And the answer is, certainly no. So again, just think about those clients out there. Might not be the biggest sale that's out there, but everybody deserves to have that conversation. Make sure you're not avoiding that awkward conversation today to make sure that you're properly protecting those clients. The second and last, real life story I want to, talk to you about here, client profile. You got a company, they have got 38 employees. Their owners, the ownership of the company really cares about the team and the families throughout. Some of the problems that, the owners of this company decided as they were looking through some potential solutions, if something happens to one of our 38 employees, team members, associates, what impact is that going to have on their family? What if not only as a company, but how's that family going to be impacted? We know, just again, in this profession, some people don't like the hassles of underwriting, having to go do an application, get blood drawn and all that, the fun paramed exam. We know there's for sure people that are uninsurable. Ultimately, most companies, of this size are going to have at least a few that are going to be completely uninsurable if they went out and bought underwritten insurance. Solution that got implemented, a voluntary guaranteed issue life insurance product that us here at E4 are more than happy to have conversations with all of our advisors to make sure everybody understands how this can work on a voluntary basis. You look back over the last 6 weeks, this company did have somebody within their first year pass away all of a sudden. A couple weeks after that, a former employee also passed away after fighting for the life for a while. So those things, these real life events, truthfully do happen. And now what's going to happen? If you can't tell, and if you don't remember from past emails, this is a story that happened directly through E4. If you don't have your own story, borrow ours. Think about your own company, your own agency, your own group that you work with, is your own company offering these types of benefits that those that don't want to go through underwriting, those that may be uninsurable, getting them an opportunity to purchase more insurance on a very easy way to go that has no direct cost to the company other than processing a payroll deduction, making sure that those people have the opportunity, and it's guaranteed issue. So again, think about it just for your own organization that you work with. And if you want to have that conversation of how can we implement some voluntary guaranteed issue life insurance in our practice, what would that look like? So call to action, ultimately, the whole goal for anybody that's sitting through, this 15-20 minute presentation, you're taking your time to sharpen your sword and really think about how can I, going back to educating our clients, first, how do I identify who those clients are? And it's easy. Who do you know that loves someone? Married, kids, whatever that might be. Who do you know that owes somebody? Maybe they have a loan, business or personal. They might have a future obligation. If it's, again, business partners, we look at buy-sell planning, those types of things. Love somebody or owe somebody. Who relies on somebody? Those key people at organizations. Again, from a business owner standpoint, making sure we plan for, hey, anybody that if you lost them, it's going to have a big negative impact on the business as a whole. Making sure we're having those conversations. And ultimately, how are you gonna approach those clients? And again, everybody's a little bit different of how you can approach those clients, but simple call, email. I was thinking about you. I've even done, in similar meetings like this. Hey, I was listening to a speaker today, and it got me thinking of you. Because again, as clients, as individuals, we love being thought of. Again, you kind of put that, quote unquote blame on, hey, I listened to this guy talk about life insurance, made me think about you. You can even, depending on how close you are with the individual, I don't want to have an awkward conversation with your family because I didn't have a conversation with you today. So ultimately, think about those people that are going to be impacted if they don't realize that there's a potential problem out there. I appreciate everybody taking the time to sit through today. I'm going to open it up for any questions. I'm going to check the chat box here real quick as well. Not seeing any questions right now here, but if you do have any questions, feel free to come off of mute, type it into the chat box. But while we wait for any final questions, I do want to remind everybody that today's brew and our entire library are recorded and shared on the brew page on our website, www.e4.insurance. And again, today's recording will be posted on the brew page, added to the library, emailed out, within the next day or so. So I don't see any questions in the chat box. So I am gonna reach into my own virtual hat, draw out a number. I'm gonna pick the number 13. So Danielle or Sydney, if you want to let us know, number 13. Today's winner is Danielle. Thank you very much. I'll be in touch, and we thank everyone for joining us today for the brew on real life stories. Make sure to be on the lookout for your Starbucks gift card and complimentary CE. Next week, Dave Sosik, Vice President of National Benefits Group, will return on the brew to discuss opportunities in the business market with corporate-owned life insurance. I thank everybody for joining, and we will see you next week on the brew.